that's the unit that failed again. It's not quite big enough or strong enough to handle everything that I put it through on my vessel. I'm not sure that I have a solution for it either. It seems like the size of my rudder, when I get a heavy wave against it, it overwhelms the gearing inside and shatters some of the clutches, and then it becomes problematic. The danger is that it can lock up and then you can't get the boat to turn.
So you're looking at an exploded view of the gearing inside of the auto-helm. And you can see there I circled in blue exactly where the problem is. Those gears, they're vinyl gears or plastic gears, and they break under significant strain.
Originally my vessel had conduit steering. And there was conduit that ran right up straight through the center in the back of the vessel up to the quadrant, and at about 25 feet of conduit all total. And I replaced that and redesigned it using Edson 6-inch pulleys and cabling, and eliminated the conduit. And I did that largely because I did not want the conduit. It just seemed so difficult to steer and problematic. And the other problem with it, the other shortfall, is that it ran right straight up through where I wanted to put the generator. Okay. When I originally put the auto-helm in, I used a 13-tooth gear here. And I created this assembly. And put this into the steering system. The main steering system has a chain that goes around this sprocket here, and then there's a second chain that goes around this, and this turns this sprocket, which in turn turns the rudder. The beauty of this system is that I can remove the auto-helm without disrupting that. So this was the first iteration of the transfer gear that I made. And the problem I had with this is there was a 13-tooth gear on this here, and that 13-tooth gear, which was tiny, would shatter, and then I would lose the auto-helm. And at least use the availability of the auto-helm, but the unit itself stayed fine. So the second iteration I made went to this. I increased the size of the chain and went to number 40 chain, and I went to an 18-tooth gear, which is considerably bigger. So everything got substantially bigger. And on this particular gear right here, this one here, it went from this size here, which is only about 3 inches across, to 12 inches across, considerably bigger. And that has not completely solved my problems.
So this is what the sprocket assembly looks like. The blue line is the actual steering cables, and the chain is the cable running from the auto-helm to an idler gear that turns the steering sprocket. And I have substantially improved the torque capabilities of the auto-helm. But now the problem I'm having is that the planetary gears inside the auto-helm are shattering. And I've had this happen to me twice now. The unit worked fine in the Chesapeake Bay, but going offshore is a whole new ballgame. Okay, we're going to go on a tour of of the actual steering linkage. You're looking at some of the pulleys that are back taking the final cables all the way to the quadrant. And if you look up in the upper left-hand part of your screen, those two cables go down to the chain sprocket drive unit that the auto-helm runs. you're looking at the left there, you're looking at the quadrant itself. One of the shortfalls I have is there's not enough room to put in a hydraulic or linear drive system, so I'm kind of trapped at using something a little bit different. If you note there, that is the actual rotary drive, and you can see the chain going down to the sprocket that actually turns the steering cables. And there's another sprocket there with a much larger chain on it that's connected to the rudder. And that enables me to be able to remove the auto-helm while not having to disable the steering. I chose to put it in this location because the only other choice was to put it underneath the helm, but that would have put it directly over top of the engine in the engine room, and I did not want to put it in that particular location.
Okay, I'm timing hard over to hard over and allowing the auto helm to do it while I'm sitting at the dock. And up here at the top you can see this is the rudder control, and this is how long it's taking. So it's looking like it's going to be in the 30-second range that it's going to take for it to go hard over to hard over. Okay, now we're going to do some settings. Okay, one of the response settings is leisure, and this is the one that that allows the slowest response. And hopefully this will be a little bit easier on the auto helm. Calibration lock is turned off. I have a Rotary Drive Type 2. I have turned the rudder dampening down to 1. Make it the lowest possible. It was set at 3. I reduced the rudder. The rudder will maximum go to only 20 degrees now. So that's substantially less than it was before. And the hard over time, I'm going to slow it way down. I can't say for sure that that's going to solve it, but after talking with Raymarine Tech Services and discussing all of the different options, the calibration was set to auto, so I've lightened all of it up a little bit. The very unfortunate thing about all of this is this unit works just fine in the Chesapeake Bay. It isn't until I get into heavier seas when I go offshore that I run into problems. And as frustrating as that might be, I'm just going to have to wait until I go offshore again and see how it works.